Всем привет! Today I want to tell you about Russian educational system, and again, as with the Russian male names, I was thinking about telling about that, but I didn't do this because I feel a bit unsatisfied with the Russian educational system, and many things triggers me, and in many things I think that it could be better, and in many things I had some kind of problem by myself when I was a kid or teenage, and that's why. But as long as it's interesting for you, I think that it's good to tell you from the first view, from my view. Of course, I need to warn that I can tell only about my experience, and maybe nowadays something has changed, but in general, no. In general, everything is the same. Maybe some small things are different now. Maybe I won't forget to tell about this, but something I can just not know because I have no kids, and most of my friends have no kids, at least no pupils. So I try to tell everything as I know and as I can. So let's start from the very beginning. As I already told in one of the previous videos, when you give birth to the kid, to the baby, you can have 3 years of mother leave, so 3 years for taking care for baby at work, so one parent can take this. You also can have an option to choose 1 year and a half or 3 years, or, well, actually as long as you wish, but officially there are 2 options, 1 year and a half and 3 years. Then there is kindergarten. Of course, there is also a part of kindergarten for very small kids, younger than 3 years, but usually it starts since 3 years, when parents can leave the kid there and go back to work, mothers mostly, and there kids spend, as usual, I think that the same as in Europe, 5 days a week from Monday to Friday, since, if I'm not mistaken, 7 o'clock in the morning until 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening, something like this. So about 12 hours. Also, there are the kinds of kindergarten where you can leave kids for the whole 5 days and not take them back home, and take them only for weekends. Of course, there are special types of these kindergartens for, I don't know, for healthy kids, for kids with some problems of physical or mental health. I think all this stuff is quite common for many countries. In kindergarten, in my experience, they taught me writing and reading, but in some kindergartens they don't do this. I think that depends on different kindergartens, but we had homework, we had some lessons, so it all was as a light version of school. But of course we played, we walked in the territory, on the territory. So all this was the thing. And what I really hated in kindergarten was the sleeping hour. I don't know if it exists in Western kindergartens, but I never wanted to sleep. So if you don't know, it was in the daytime after the lunch. The lunch was maybe in 2 o'clock or maybe 1 o'clock, and then we had not actually 1 hour but 2 hours of sleep, and I never wanted to sleep because firstly I don't fall asleep so fast. Since I was a child it was like that, and I can't just lay down and fall asleep, mostly if I don't want to. And I hated this because I almost never slept. I slept maybe 3 times during the 2 years, and that was so I didn't like it so much, and that was stupid. All the other stuff in kindergarten was actually okay. I can't say anything bad, but of course I didn't like kindergarten because before I had a nanny, private nanny for 2 years since my 3 to 5 years old, and of course that was wonderful because I was like a little aristocrat kid with my own nanny who did everything for me. And I'm an introvert. I was an introvert, and I am, so I was okay to be just with nanny at home and go for a walk. So I feel super comfortable. But of course, it was really heavy for me to go to the kindergarten when I was 5 years old, not 3. Because firstly, I've gone when I was 3, but then my parents decided to take nanny. But when I was 3, it was easier for me. When I went there at 5 years old after nanny, that was terrible. That was a catastrophe for me. That was a trauma, I guess. So better, at least it would be better, or since 3 years old, or with nanny till the school. Then the school starts from 7 years old and lists 11 years till you're 18 years old. So there are 11 grades. Elementary school is the first 4 years. Also, there is a special program where you can go, where you can have only 3 years of elementary school and then go to the 5th class. 5th class? Sorry. So skip 1 year, but I didn't have it. Some kids they had, but for some reason it's not so popular. I don't know why. If you have a son, a boy, some parents try to take their kids to school, to give their kids from school. So they try to start school from the kids since 6 years old, because when boys in Russia get age of 18 years old, they must go to army. And of course, no one wants to do this. I mean, most of the people, of course, there are some who want, but mostly they don't want. And there are different reasons how to avoid it. You can go to the university, and in the university you can have special education. You have to spend time on like army education. It's like 1 day a week during like 3 years, and then 2 weeks of these useless lections or something like this. So everyone said that that's absolutely useless. They don't give anything useful information and all that stuff. Before it was, you also could avoid army if you had a baby, but now I think it doesn't work. Also, you could avoid army if you are the only kid and your mother has got no husband, but nowadays, as I know, it also doesn't work. Till you're 28 years old, you must go to the army, and also if you have some mental or physical diseases, you can not to go. Some people, they buy this, how to say it, documents, like if they have these diseases, but nowadays it's much heavier, much more expensive, and I'm not sure if it's still possible to do this. So I mean that if you have a son, it's better to get him to school early, because if, for example, after finishing of the school, he can't go to the university, he has 1 more year to do this and not to go to the army if he doesn't have any other reasons to avoid it. So that's why parents do that this way, and also they can choose this way to choose 3 first elementary grades and then skip 1 and go to the next one. So they save 1 more year. So middle school is since the 5th grade until 8th grade. Then students pass special kind of exam. It's called GIA, that means government general attestation. Okay, let's call it like that. this exam very standard, so it's a lot of about rules how to fill this exam. So mostly it's more important than your knowledge is to feel everything correct, because it's very, very standard, it's very typical. And for example, and the same thing about the very final exam, the structure is the same. So, okay, I'll better tell about this later. So you have this exam when you're finishing your, I'm sorry, I'm mistaken, your 9th grade. So middle school since 5th till 9th grade. Then you have this exam. Actually, when I was younger, it didn't influence anything. You could continue studying in school or you can go to the college. Nowadays, I know that if you passed this exam badly, you can't continue studying in school. Or, yeah, so it depends. It influences something. What does it mean passing this exam? You choose, if I'm not mistaken, 2 subjects. And there are Russian and mathematics. They are not optional. You must pass these exams. And 2 of them you choose, that any other school subjects. And in Russian school system, there are 5 types of marks, but actually 4, but 5. From 1 point to 5. 5 is the best. 1 is the worst. Actually, 1 it's something very rare. It's not even a mark. It's something that you are super loser. So the worst actually is 2. So 5 excellent, 4 good, 3 so, and 2 that's bad, and 1 is so bad that it's even not possible. If you have 1, that means the teacher was very angry at you. So you never can see 1 in some official marks. So that's more about for parents. So your kid is so bad. He was so bad today that he got 1, but actually the worst mark is 2. So to pass the exam, you have to take at least mark 3, 4, or 5. Also, it can be 5 with plus, 5 with minus. So the same with the ABCD system. So you passing this exam when you are in the 9th grade. You are about 15 years old, and then you can continue and go to the high school, or you can go to the college. College is not high education, it's a middle education. You can get there some practical professions like hairdresser, cooker, mechanics, something like this. And then the high school, 2 years. And after the high school, you have this test again. The final test is called ЕГЭ. It means union government exam. And this is very same with the previous one, which we had in the end of the middle school. That's all about, I'm sorry for the noise. That's all about test. There are 3 parts. First one is test. That's the easiest one. The second one is tasks, different tasks where you need to write down something, to count something, and all that stuff. And the third one is very, very practical, where you need not just fill the gaps, but write everything by yourself. For example, if it's literature, you have to write the composition, or Russian language, or English language, or something else. The problem is, for example, I passed literature, and you need to write this composition using very strict structure. You can't write it as you wish. You need to use special phrases. You need to build it in only one way. And after starting this during the whole year, after this, for some time, I couldn't write at all, because I lose my skill of creative writing, because all the year I studied how to write using just this scheme, and that's it. And that was terrible. Actually, I didn't like it. So On the one hand, these exams are good because they are the same for everyone. And you pass this exam, and then the online results are sent to the university. You can send them to any university in the country. You can choose 5 universities, if I'm not mistaken, in any kind of city. So you can live in a small village, but that's not a problem. You don't have to go to the university to pass some kind of an exam there, because before, when it was before, the corruption. Bribery. I mean, the bribery were quite popular. So you come to the university and they want you to pay them to pass the exam. And now it's very difficult to do because the system, you have the number, they don't know your name, and you don't know who is going to check your exam. It's all anonymous and online and with video cameras, but actually the rules are very strict of passing these exams, and many kids, they feel super nervous passing these exams because they check all the kids. They go to the other school, to the class which is all in the cameras. They can have only pen, pencil and water, but not. They even should ask to go somewhere to drink water. They check the students like this if they have something with them, and that's very stressful. And I don't really understand why. So that's terrible, I think. So you pass this exam. If your results are good enough, you can go to the university. Also, you can go to the college after the 11th grade. That's also possible. If you chose the college after the 9th grade and you got excellent marks there, after this college you can go to the university. It was before like that, I'm not sure about now, but you could skip the first 2 courses in the university and go on the third if the profession is the same. So that's like saving your time. But now I'm not sure about that. And until I haven't finished with school, what about the subjects? Of course, the most important subjects are mathematics and Russian language. In elementary school, we also had music, drawing, dancing, the subject which was called World Around Us. It's everything about everything a little bit, about the nature, about the government, about the other countries, and all the same. So something like this, some kind of also reading, also English language or some other languages. In middle school, we had first mathematics, history, geography. Since the 7th grade, we had chemistry. Since the 6th grade, we had physics. Or since the 7th grade too. Yeah, since the 7th grade. Of course, during the whole school period, we had physical training, literature. Since the 7th grade, mathematics divided in 2 subjects, geometry and algebra. And the problem is that the Russian school system is not soft at all. It's not so it's just one, and you can do with that anything. So you can't choose the subjects, for example, and even when it's your very last grade and you already know what you want to do, you can't skip anything. So you should have all the subjects, and there are many of them. And and for example, I never could understand mathematics. And the thing is that mathematics in Russian schools, the level is higher than in Western schools, because I guess in Western schools people understand that not all the kids need this level. And we in high school, we have the level of mathematics and geometry like in the Western universities, and I couldn't understand it at all. And I spent so many time with my private teacher. She tried to explain me this, and I just couldn't understand because I am humanitarian, and I loved languages and literature and drawing and music and dancing, but not this, and that was terrible. And that's why I hate our school system, because you can't choose. You never can choose. They give you all these subjects, and you should have them all the time, all the school years. And the thing is that school almost doesn't, I don't know how it's now, but when I was a student, school didn't prepare us to the final exam. That's crazy, but it didn't. We had school day, and after the school day, you had to go to private courses and prepare there and pay for this. And of course, if you are a very smart genius kid, you could be calm and don't go anywhere. But 99% of kids, they have private teachers, they visit some courses, and that's almost the only way to pass this exam, because school gives us not enough knowledge for this. And also, many schools has 6-day study week, so Saturday is also studying day. Usually a lesson starts at 9 o'clock, and each lesson is 45 minutes. The one break is 10 minutes, the second one is 15 minutes, third and fourth 20 minutes, and fifth and seventh 10 minutes. So we usually had 5 or 6 lessons. If you study 5 days a week, that's 7 lessons. So 5 lessons, that's till 2 o'clock in the daytime, 6 lessons till 3 o'clock, and 7 lessons till 4 o'clock, something like this. And then you go to your private teachers to some dancing or something else. What are you doing after school? What also I didn't love in schools, there were no privacy at all. Everywhere there was noise, a lot of kids. And about privacy, we have a joke in Russia that if you could poop in school, you can do anything in the world, because, for example, when I was young, in toilets there were no, these rooms with doors where you could be alone. And luckily, when I was 11 years old, finally they appeared. But before they weren't, and that was crazy, because you needed to go to the toilet and everyone could see this, how it's possible. And for example, to the cafeteria, if you go to the cafeteria, sometimes there was not enough time to eat, because there were lots of people and kids, and there were no place to eat because there were too many people. And sometimes you couldn't eat because the break was too short. So all this stuff I didn't really like. And also sometimes teachers were like crazy. Of course there were good ones, but also were really mad people. And I decided that if I had kids in Russia, I wouldn't let them go to Russian school, because I think that's not what I want to them. So let's go to the university system. I loved it much more. It's much better, but of course not brilliant. The first problem of Russian university system is that it's too theoretical. That's many people complain that it's all about theory and they want more practice. And the second problem of Russian universities is the corruption, I guess. Now it's not so bad as it was, but it's still quite possible to come across teachers who can take money for the exam and give you an excellent mark. Or there are some kind of traditions. For example, if you have final exams in your final course, you have to pass some money and buy some food to the to the teachers who will examinate you some food, some alcohol, and make a table for them with all this food and alcohol. It's not in all university, but I have this, for example, in mine. And that means that you make them a compliment and they gonna be kind to you. They will never give you a bad mark. And in my university, for example, we had this table, we paid for this. And I think many people hate this, but it's some kind of tradition. And we had this exam, it started, and our teacher just went out of the room and went to the next room to eating and drinking, and we could sit alone and prepare to answer the exam and do what we want. And then they came back, they were full of fun, and the exam was like, okay, what do you want to tell me? I already told about the procedure of exam in Russian university. I give you the link to this video, so I don't want to repeat it one more time. Also, to finish the university, you have to write your thesis work. You have your master teacher who helps you, and during the last course you write this thesis work. That's very important. It should be quite big, from 60 to 80 pages if I'm not mistaken, or from 40 to 80 pages. That depends on your specialization. Again, that's more about writing this document correctly according all the rules. But the problem is that after finishing this education, many people feel the lack of theory, because it's mostly all about lections and lections and lections. Sometimes, yes, of course, students do some projects, but that's still not enough. That's still not enough practice, not about visiting some companies. Yes, we have it, but not enough, I would say. About the lections, the length of the lection is 1 hour and a half. In my university, in my course, the first lecture was at 9:30 in the morning, and the last one could be usually at 3 something until almost 5 o'clock. But of course, sometimes it could be later at 6 o'clock or something like that. But luckily it was early, and mostly it was starting from 9 until 5. But of course that also can be a lot. And I was happy when we had distance education during COVID period. That was wonderful. University system is much more vivid, much more much pleasant than school, because of course there are more freedom. You can't choose subjects, by the way, again. They just give you your schedule and that's it. You can't choose anything. The system is the same. So again, 5 excellent, 4 good, 3 so-so, 2 bad. 1 exists in school, in university system. The groups in the university can be very different, talking about size. Some people have groups with 4 or 3 people. Some groups are quite big. For example, my group was about 50 people, and so that's where it depends. And about classes in school, when I was younger, it was from 15 to 25 people, but now it's okay to have 35 or 40 kids in class, because it was baby boom some time ago, and now all these baby boomers, there are a lot of kids, and they all everywhere in school and now in the university still. So yeah, there are many of them and many people, and the concurrence is very high. Yes, and all the education is free in Russia, but also if you go to the college or to the university, you can pay for education. For example, if your results were not so good to go there for free, you can pay and go there anyway. And nowadays, because there are so many baby boomers, it's difficult even to go there if you pay. So, and actually the prices are quite high. So before it was much easier. than now. Even if you want to go to the college, that's actually college is not the place where everyone want to go. So everyone want to go to the universities. So after university, you also can have your I don't know how to call it, doctor degree. I hope I hope I pronounce it correct. I say it correct. It's 3 or 4 years studying where you write your doctor's work and also study and also teach in the university, and then you become a scientist if you want, or you can choose some profession where you work and also make some researches, something like this. I think that's quite similar with the Western system, but since the last year or maybe 2 years ago, they changed system a little bit and they returned back in the university to the Soviet system, where you study not 4 years but 5 years and have no master degree. So in Western university there is 4 years of bachelor, and then 2 years of master degree, and then 3-4 years of to get your doctor degree, if I'm not mistaken. And now they wanted and they actually made it, as far as I know, like you study just 5 years and then 3-4 years to get this doctor degree. Actually, I don't mind this 5 years, but it's bad because you can't go to the university in other country after this because the system is different. They won't understand what is that. So that's the problem. So that's it. I of course I think I could miss something, and some things which are obvious to me can be not obvious for you. So if I didn't mention something, ask me in the comments. I hope you understood something. I hope it was interesting and informative for you. So thank you for watching, and пока-пока.